Hi, my name is Julius, and this is episode 1 of What Makes It So Special. The new Call of Duty Modern Warfare impresses with a wide variety of game modes. While the larger mode Ground War might be considered a direct competitor to Battlefield, there is also the very intriguing, comparatively tiny game mode of Gunfight. Today, I want to take a closer look at this mode, as it might be small in scale, but definitely packs a punch when it comes to game design. First off, here's a quick breakdown of the rules. Gunfight is a 2v2 game mode with no respawns within a round. The goal is to eliminate the opposing team. If after 40 seconds no team has won, a capture point spawns in the middle of the map that is capped within a few seconds of standing close to it. If no team captures that point in a certain amount of time, the team with the most remaining health wins. There is no radar or minimap, no automatic health regeneration, and no kill streaks. A match ends when one team reaches 6 points. Of this mode, there are two variations. The Classic, where everyone spawns with a randomly chosen loadout, and OSP, which stands for On-Site Procurement. In OSP, players begin with no weapons or other equipment. Each round starts with a rush to the guns and the equipment that are scattered symmetrically around the map. This video will be the first of 3 to talk about Gunfight OSP, with the other 2 coming out shortly. The second video will talk about game theory and how it comes to play in Gunfight, and in the third I want to talk about how the level design of each map supports those 2 ideas. But before we get into those topics, I think it's useful to understand the underlying psychology that makes the game mode so great. In my opinion, there is one specific thing that makes this mode so great: the amount of fast System 2 thinking. To explain what I mean, I need to back up a bit. In 2011, the psychologist Daniel Kahneman published his book, Thinking, Fast and Slow. In it, he suggests that when people make decisions, they either use System 1 thinking or System 2 thinking. System 1 thinking can also be described as our gut instinct. It takes over when we don't have the time or won't take the time to thoroughly assess the situation. An important characteristic of this thinking is that the decisions it spawns seem involuntarily. This is thinking fast. System 2 thinking, on the other hand, is a very conscious way of analyzing a problem, getting all the information you can, and being what you would call rational. It usually kicks in when you have a lot of time to think through all of your options and weigh the pros and cons for each decision. This is thinking slow. For most games, you'll be using a combination of both systems, depending on what exactly you're doing. To see how these systems come into play within a single round of Gunfight, let's take a look at this round. First, I'll let it play in its entirety. See what you think. When was I using System 1, and when was I using System 2 thinking?
You're the last. Two wins down. Keep up the pressure.
Now I'll go through the round and explain my underlying thought process and what system I was consequently using. As the countdown goes down, I already aim for the middle of the map under the bridge, knowing that there is either an MP7 or an MP5 lying there, both being an automatic weapon, which I highly prefer over the deagle. While running, I look at the left half of my screen. The right half can't give me any visual information, but on the left I can see if my opponent crosses to the containers. I can see him going to the containers immediately, which means he didn't go for the deagle, so I won't have to worry about him holding the middle left lane. Also, from an earlier round, I learned that the deagle is very dangerous up close, so rushing him later on might be a viable option. Okay, I've got my MP7, and try to use my knowledge of his position and my automatic fire to my advantage. He's already closer than I thought he would have pushed by now. Because of that, I over-aim to the right while coming around the corner, but still fire a few shots, but only doing little damage. But I learned that these containers are not bulletproof, also good to know. So now I waited. I don't want to be too pushy since I still don't know where the other player is. For all I know, he could be holding my lane just waiting for me to come out of cover. And now there's a shot coming my way. Rewatching the footage, I think it must have been a stray bullet from my teammate, but that's not something I was aware of in that moment. I check the door again to be sure that neither of them is pushing me. And now my teammate died. Although I'm now at a disadvantage, I also know that no one is holding the lane. If I want to cross, which I have to do at some point, now is the time. I jump a bit too early, already being on the ground by the time I would have been in my opponent's crosshairs, but thankfully he isn't holding this angle. I sprint, notice his barrel now, use pre-fire to my advantage, and can quickly kill him. So now I have to reload, back away further from my original position, and try to assess the situation. I honestly don't have any clue where the last man could be. So now I'm just scanning the map, listening if I can hear anyone. I can't. I look down my previous lane to check if he might be there, and sure enough, all the way down at my spawn, I can see him. I can't kill him from here, the recoil and damage drop off on the gun are too big, so I try to get as close as possible, as quickly as possible. I don't think he's seen me, so I'm not too worried that he'll come up the stairs. I get out of sprint early enough to aim clearly at where I last saw him. I expected that he was looking along the lane or into the containers. That was not the case. My high ground saves me since he has to adjust his aim just a bit more than I do. Looking at the scoreboard, I can see he's hurting, so my best chance is to rush him. Since I can't shoot while running, I take the longer but safer route. He knows he has bad chances in a head-on fight. But to his luck, the timer is almost run out and the capture point will soon spawn. As I aim for his cover, I can hear his footsteps below me. I turn around and walk down the stairs backwards. Since he might have heard my jump before, he could know my position, so I jump again while covering his closer corner, check the other side, and can see him with his back turned toward me. Free kill.
2 wins down, keep up the pressure.
The thing you might notice is that most of the time I was using System 2 thinking. But obviously, this contradicts what Kahneman said about System 2. 10 or 15 seconds is not a long time. All the decisions and thoughts I talked about happened in only a few seconds or less. And this is what makes the game mode so much fun. You keep finding yourself in situations where you won't be able to think of the correct answer to the given problem, but you have to get as close as possible, as fast as possible. And this won't win you every encounter, but if you more often than not choose to do what has a higher chance of succeeding, then over time you'll win most fights. Having problems thrown at you that don't have a perfect solution and then still emerging victorious is what I also loved so much about Rainbow Six Siege. But Gunfight takes this a step further. Siege has a few situations each match where there are truly overwhelming amounts of possibility. Gunfight, on the other hand, gives you multiple of those situations per round, with just so few possibilities that you can comprehend them, but still enough to constantly keep you on your toes. Every second your mind is racing, trying to gather as much information as possible, thinking about what the opposing players might be doing, and how you can gain an advantage. It's like a super hectic puzzle game that doesn't have one solution. And you can win not only by great aim, but also by being a fast, slow thinker. And that's what makes Gunfight so special. Thanks for watching the video. Let me know what you thought about it, and in case you're playing Modern Warfare Gunfight, which mode do you prefer, Standard or OSP? In the next episode I want to go one layer deeper to see how game theory affects each decision a player makes in the game. Then I'll also explain why I personally find OSP more interesting than the Standard Gunfight mode. After that, it's time for the level design. Since you made it this far, here's a clip of how I learned about the close quarters power of the Deagle.
They're making us fight for it. Give it to them.
Until next time.